In today's video, we'll be looking at creepy and disturbing TikToks that will make you question reality.
Computer code, that's just a type of language. So you can say, and this is a real example that I tried, GPT, find me a security vulnerability, then write some code to exploit it. So I posted in some code. This is from like a mail server, and I said, please find any exploits and describe any vulnerabilities in the following code, then write a script to exploit them, and in around 10 seconds, that was the code to exploit it. So while it is not yet the case that you can ask an AI to hack a Wi-Fi router, you can see in the double exponential, whether it's 1 year or 2 years or 5 years, at some soon point, it becomes easy to turn all of the physical hardware that's already out there into kind of the ultimate surveillance.
Now, one thing for you all to get is that these might look like separate demos. Like, oh, there's some people over here that are building some specialized AI for hacking Wi-Fi routers, and there's some people over here building some specialized AI for inventing images from text. But the reason we show in each case the language of English and computer code, of English and images, of space, is that this is all, everyone's contributing to one kind of technology that's going like this. So even if it's not everywhere yet and doing everything yet, we're trying to give you a sneak preview of the capabilities that and how fast they're growing, so you understand how fast we have to move if we want to actually start to steer and constrain it. Now, many of you are aware of the fact that images can, the new AI can actually copy your voice, right? You can get someone's voice, Obama and Putin, people have seen those videos. What they may not know is it only takes 3 seconds of your voice to reconstruct it. So here's a demo of the first 3 seconds are of a real person speaking, even though she sounds a little bit metallic. The rest is just what the computer automatically generated her
of people are,
real.
in 9 cases out of 10, mere spectacle reflections of the actuality of things. But they are impressions of something different and more.
Here's another one with piano. First 3 seconds of real piano. Indistinguishable, right? So the first 3 seconds are real piano, the rest is just automatically generating.
Now, one of the things I want to say is, as we saw these first demos, we sat and thought, like, how is this going to be used? We're like, oh, what would be terrifying is if someone were to call up, your son or your daughter and get a couple seconds, hey, oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong number, grab their voice, then turn around and call you and be like, hey, dad, hey, mom, I forgot my social security number, I'm applying for this thing, what was it again? And we're like, that's scary.
We thought about that conceptually, and then this actually happens.
Exactly, and this happens more and more, that we will think of something, and then we'll look in the news, and within a week or 2 weeks, there it is. So this is that exact thing happening. And then 1 month ago, an AI clones teen's girl voice in a $1 million kidnapping scam. So these things are not theoretical. Sort of as fast as you can think of them, people can deploy them.
And of course, people are familiar with how this has been happening in social media, because you can beautify photos, you can actually change someone's voice in real time. Those are new demos. Some of you may be familiar with this. This is the new beautification filters in TikTok.
I can't believe this is a filter. The fact that this is what filters have evolved into is actually crazy to me. I grew up with the dog filter on Snapchat, and now this filter gave me lip fillers. This is what I look like in real life.
What?
Are you kidding me?
I don't know if you can tell, she was pushing on her lip in real time, and as she pushed on her lip, the lip fillers were going in and out in real time, indistinguishable from reality. And now you're going to be able to create your own avatar. This is just from a week ago. A 23-year-old Snapchat influencer took her own likeness and basically created a virtual version of her as a kind of a boyfriend, a girlfriend as a service for $1 a minute. And people will be able to sell their, avatar souls to basically interact with other people in their voice and their likeness, etc.
It's as if no one ever actually watched The Little Mermaid. The thing to say is that this is the year that photographic and video evidence ceases to work, right? And our institutions have not caught up to that yet, right? This is the year you do not know when you talk to someone if you're actually talking to them, even if you have video, even if you have audio.
Man, that's crazy.
But have y'all heard about Young Thug trying to get the evidence of a goat ritual sacrifice thrown out of court? Have y'all heard about this? If y'all heard about this and nobody told me or tagged me in it, we gonna have to fight with y'all.
My bad.
What the hell is going on? Watch this.
In the court to exclude evidence of a ritualistic sacrifice in his RICO trial.
The theory behind killing animals is you're draining their energy, their power, and to use for mystical purposes.
According to newly filed court documents, defense attorneys for Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, have motioned to exclude evidence stemming from his co-defendant's arrest. According to the documents, during Shannon Stillwell's March 2022 arrest, officials found a, quote, religious ceremony which involved the supposed sacrifice of goats. Prosecutors say Stillwell, known as SB, and Young Thug were part of a gang referred to as Young Slime Life. Now, Young Thug's defense team says showing evidence of this alleged goat sacrifice has no, quote, benefit or probative value and could create prejudice in jurors. For more information about this,
there are known paganistic symbols and satanic symbols,
It's
and
in our
there
face.
there's a whole textbook on ritual crime that police know about and have used, but honestly, there was a whole satanic panic in the 80s.
and says he's unclear what specifically a goat sacrifice could represent.
The theory behind killing animals is you're draining their energy, their power, and to use for mystical purposes, or again, as a sign of sacrifice to the divine. And it could very well be just a crazy.
It's Shaq in drag on the Dennis Scott Show. Masculine women, feminine men. Which is a rooster, which is a hen? It's hard to tell them apart today.
How do you know that? You see these sideburns? He got them from me. He showed me these sideburns. He was trying to hit on me, but I wouldn't give him no play.
Nobody better than this girl right here.
Look at that. Again, huh? Yeah, man. What's going on with this? Why they be pushing that on us? Or why they be pushing that on us, I should say.
America, take a good look at your beloved candidates. They're nothing but hideous space reptiles.
Truth in our face.
Those
right
candidates are phonies. You heard me. They're alien replicants from beyond the moon.
These latest images are shot with a heat-detecting camera. Hillary is blue, cold, metal.
No. What?
America, take a good look at your beloved candidates. They're nothing but hideous space reptiles.
I mean, it's right there in our face, though, y'all. Skin be.
Why won't anyone believe my crazy story?
Okay, aliens. Maybe they're among us. I don't know.
There go the Simpsons dropping hints again.
Me and my wife wanted to see what would happen if we sent our bat's DNA into 23andMe. And so, after a difficult process of swabbing our bat's mouth, we went to the mailbox and sent it off. And after waiting a few months, the results were back. It turns out that little Bruce Wayne is Vietnamese, Indonesian, Chinese, but also European, with the vast majority of his blood being Vietnamese. Now, this does make sense, but it's kind of weird considering that this is a 23andMe, which is meant for human beings. Follow to see more animal DNA tests.
It's crap.
These DNA tests for ethnicity
Basically.
are entertainment value only.
William Gilliland is a biology professor at DePaul.
When I handed Vi the certificate, she got extremely emotional about it. She wept, and it meant so very much.
People want to believe.
They want to believe they've gotten an answer.
And it's not fair of us to let them believe that we're giving them certain answers, because scientifically, we just can't.
Hank Greeley is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have
He
the
didn't
largest,
exclude you. He included you.
but we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns.
About yourself.
Our DNA.
And that's the rub. This business of genetic genealogy is fraught with limitations. For one thing, it can only provide information about a tiny fraction of our ancestry. Because we get half our DNA from our mothers and half from our fathers, almost all of our DNA gets shuffled and remixed every generation, making it impossible to trace what comes from whom. There are just 2 bits of DNA that remain pure. The Y chromosome, which passes directly from father to son, and something called mitochondrial DNA, which passes unchanged from mother to child. Hank Greeley, a law professor at Stanford University, has studied this new field. He worries that people don't realize just how many ancestors they actually have.
8 generations ago, both you and I had 256 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents.
Wait, you're saying that if you go back 8 generations, we have 256 great-great-great-grandparents?
Yes, it doubles every generation. So you've got 2 parents, you have 4 grandparents, you have 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, and it adds up fast. It adds up so fast and fast. But if you go back 20 generations, you've got over 1 million grandparents.
1,048,576 to be exact.
And y'all still
And
think
in
y'all
each
came from a tribe
generation,
in Africa?
DNA testing can provide information about only 2 of them.
So you could be Peruvian on your mother's 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 side, Japanese on your father's 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 side, Swedish on everything else.
And you'll never know.
And you'll never know the Swedish from the Y chromosome or the mitochondrial DNA.
Now, you've looked at several of these companies that are doing these tests.
Yes.
Do you think that they explain what you just explained to us?
No, I don't think any of them does as good a job of pointing out.
Oh no. What the?
What you just saw there was a human-pig hybrid. Now, it is no secret that the human genome is being tampered with, as the media cannot stop talking about it as of recent. The human genome being tampered with is exactly why God wiped out everybody in the flood during Noah's time. In the Bible, when it talks about Noah being perfect in all of his generations, that meaning of perfect means...
I was doing some stuff with tigers in India, and I picked up a disease called tularemia, and I had this horrible patch of pus on my elbow. I came home from India, and for 2 months I was in bed, and I had no energy, and they put me on this antibiotics. Infectious disease doctors couldn't heal this thing. I went to the Amazon. JJ takes my arm, looks at it. We go into the jungle. He cuts a tree, takes the sap, says, drink some of this, not too much. He was like, 1 drop of this down your throat. And then he took the rest of the sap, and he rubs it onto the wound. And this is like a disgusting, pussy thing that had been plaguing me for months. It was better the next day.
Really? Does it work on all kinds of infections and diseases, or just the kind that you had?
So we tested it in a petri.
The truth is, we get all of our medicine from nature. Anything that you need to heal yourself is probably out here in nature somewhere. We just don't have the knowledge of it. You know what I mean? Like, we need the herbology, like on the Harry Potter Hogwarts shirts or whatever.
Dish, and basically, there's some of these saps, you can't get this bacteria to live with these saps. So we don't use neosporin in the jungle. It doesn't work. What we do is we go to the Sangre de Drago tree. That works. As soon as I see a little something like a mosquito bite, just go and put that on it, and immediately gone. You won't get infections.
Wow. Seems like an epic adventure until it flips. Generally, icebergs are super stable because 90% of their bulk is hidden underneath. This is why they're so deadly for ships that are passing by. However, when an iceberg breaks off from the edge of a glacier, its irregular shape could cause it to sway or even flip. These climbers added just enough weight to throw off the balance and cause it to flip. Luckily, they got out of the way.
Yeah, they got lucky.
This slippery sucker is called a Nyan-Gri. Not normally a fast being. In fact, they're known for being kind of sluggish. But as you can see here, this one in particular is sliding down this makeshift chute, I imagine as its own invention to perhaps attack
I ain't never seen that like
trespassers, if you will. such as this very cameraman who doesn't seem to be that scared. I don't understand why. These beings are also not unintelligent. They are not the brightest bulb in the box, however. They're about average intelligence to a human. So you gotta be careful around these suckers. If they get you, just know that they'll get you. It'll be just as bad as you imagine it would be.
The mysteries that ancient Egyptians have left behind. The 24 stone coffins. Each coffin weighs about 100 tons and was transported by the ancient Egyptians to an artificial cave system located underground. The coffin located at this upper junction will reveal some truly incredible secrets. The passageways inside the cave are extremely narrow and challenging to navigate, making it difficult to transport or craft anything below. Yet these coffins remain as uncarved stone blocks, abandoned at this location. The lids of the coffins are also left behind at the entrance to the cave, indicating that these 24 coffins were brought in from outside as solid rock blocks. They had to pass through those small, narrow passages to reach the main chamber, where they would be fully crafted and properly positioned. What truly astonishes archaeologists is that once completed, these coffins display an extraordinary level of precision. They are all perfectly cut and polished, with perfectly square angles of 90 degrees. The inner surfaces are so smooth that they reflect like mirrors. It is baffling how they managed to achieve such sharp craftsmanship from solid rock. To create the hollow interior, they must have cut all 4 sides from top to bottom, and particularly, they had to cut the bottom inside the coffin. Yet somehow they accomplished this feat with exceptional sharpness, as if these coffins were products of a laser cutting machine.
Here are 5 things that your skin can tell you about your liver health. I'm a board-certified gastroenterologist, so follow me for more tips like this. The first is yellowing of the skin and eyes, which means that your liver can't get rid of bilirubin fast enough. And if it's deposited in your skin, it can cause intense itching that's not related to skin allergies. The next is spider angioma, which are superficial capillaries on the surface of the body. The next is redness on the surface of the palms that's due to estrogen not being broken down by a diseased liver. And finally, easy bruising that's due to low platelets and chronic liver disease.
Look at them tall men in black. What's going on with that?
In my 30 years of research, that the human race is indeed a hybrid race. The evidence is literally overwhelming. And if you dig into it and you study it and you evaluate it seriously, you reach the same conclusions. Every major religious philosophy in our history, on every part of this planet, whether it's in Europe, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Hinduism, every major human religious endeavor has told the basic same story. The human race is a hybrid race. We have been created here. We were seeded here. And we have been genetically manipulated here from the very beginning of our recorded history. And that genetic manipulation has never ceased. It is still going on, as Cecilia likes to say, even as we speak. So, I reached that conclusion, and I will not argue with anybody about it. I simply say to you, look at the evidence. Apparently, this seems to be what has happened. Several 100,000 years ago, an intelligent race from somewhere else out there came by the planet, knew of the planet, stopped at the planet, and found a developing form of life here. Now, there are theories that the original seeding itself was done by an intelligent race from other places. But some of the theories have stated that this advanced intelligence was on an excursion, a trip, and they stopped off here and found a developing form of life and decided to manipulate that developing form of life into a higher form. And they've been involved in that off and on, but continually, for at least 100,000 years. When I studied anthropology some years ago, I always wondered why poor old Neanderthal suddenly disappeared in terms of time, a few centuries. And this new form, completely new form, which we call Cro-Magnon, appeared. What happened to poor old Neanderthal? Who is Cro-Magnon? Well, look around the room. You'll see Cro-Magnon here right today. But in terms of geology, in terms of anthropology, in terms of evolutionary theory, none of that seemed to make a lot of sense. You don't have evolution working that fast. Then there were other little curious things taking place. Why, about 5000 BC in Sumer, did all kinds of things happen at once? A literal eruption of civilization taking place in the Euphrates and Tigris and Euphrates valleys. I mean, civilization blossomed and bloomed almost overnight. The people were taught, or they learned, agriculture, irrigation. They built cities. They knew how to plant farms. They knew how to harvest. They knew how to develop intricate governmental systems. They developed a military idea. They developed a very intricate theological and philosophical philosophy. And where did this all happen? Why did it all happen literally overnight? Well, Zecharia Sitchin, in his absolutely monumental work.
Speaking of Zecharia Sitchin, let me show y'all something real quick. We got the whole Sitchin collection here, you hear me? So he ain't speaking none slick to a can of oil right now, that's all I'm saying.
Clearly has the answer. In the great Sumerian tablets, in the cuneiform tablets, which preserve the complete history of the Sumerian people, the evidence is all there. Sitchin is probably one of about 10 people on the planet who can sit down and read cuneiform tablets like you and I read the morning paper. The Sumerians told us how it happened, how it came to be, where they got the knowledge, who taught them the knowledge. And this fits, and I tell you it does, fit perfectly with every other story, myth, legend, history of every people on this entire planet. The human race is a hybrid. We were seeded here, and we have had what I like to call an intimate interrelationship with high technology, advanced intelligence for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, the crucial thing is it is still going on. It hasn't stopped. They are still involved. The question has been, for many of us, is who the hell are they and what are they doing with us? Which ties in perfectly with the ancient philosophical questions that each and every one of us has asked. Who are we? Who are we? How did we come to be here? What are we here for? And where are we going? And this is, if you remember from your own teachings, education, in school or church, the basic questions that human beings have been asking since the beginning. Who we are, why we're here, and what's going on. Well, my commitment to this thing has been growing over the years, and I will tell you that I'm involved in it, I'm committed to it, because I think that time is running out. I don't think it's going to be much longer before you see most of the answers. And the reason I share that with you is that I'm not trying to frighten you. And I'm not trying to preach or proselytize. I'm not trying to lead you in any direction. But I'm trying to say to you that in the next very few short years, you're going to be seeing things and you're going to be experiencing things that are going to literally change your life in ways you have never dreamed or imagined. You are going to learn who you are. You're going to find out why you're here. And you're going to find out where you're going.
So, he keeps bringing up the human race, right? But I want to ask you guys something. Is there a difference between human, man, and mankind? Think about that for a minute, because I think they're all different, in all honesty. Dang. Oh, nah. All this plane stuff, man. I do not want to get on the plane, but I feel like I'm going to have to here soon. Okay, minor issues.
What's the real story behind the Conjuring House? What's the actual story?
So, yeah, the movie story is like this witch, Bathsheba or whatever. But the actual story, there's a bunch of different things that they say are haunted, but it's actually built on the grounds of the...
Is that the house?
That's it. Yeah, it's creepy. House. It's an amazing house.
So what's the original story?
So the most famous we'll get to, but like it's built on the same grounds that like the King Philip's War was fought on, like right at the beginning of the United States and everything. So the main people that haunt that are like 7 dead soldiers that this little girl always kept seeing in the walls, and thus it started manifesting more to the entire family. So this family called the Perrin family bought the place in like 1972, and for 10 years they said they would see, you know, these figures, these soldiers walking around, like their beds would shake, they would get scratches, like, and it kept getting worse over the 10 years. And the crazy part is it got to become famous because of like the final day that like changed it all. They wanted to do like an exorcism on the house because I think, who was the mom Perrin? Whatever.
Caroline or something?
Carolyn Perrin. Yeah, Carolyn Perrin was getting like really bad. Like she would have things happen to her every single day. You know, furniture would move, all these sort of things. She was getting like really rash with everything. So she brought in these demonologists to her.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Ed and Lorraine
if you've heard of them before.
No.
They're like the
Terrific crash National Airlines Flight 102.
Look, all this plane stuff, y'all. Look at this turning around, about to fall. Yo. And that plane
You
wasn't
remember
even that
Art,
high.
right? Yeah. Basically, this story is called The Hole to Hell. So it starts off with this guy. His name is Mel Waters. He has land in Washington, right? His land is pretty big, bro. Like fucking terrenos type shit, right? And on his property, bro, he ends up finding a hole. And a bunch of locals throw a bunch of shit in there. Old, like, technology, refrigerators, shit that doesn't work, garbage, dead animals, whatever. He tried to find out how deep it was, right? Okay. So what he did was he took a fishing line and he took a weight. He threw the weight down with the fishing line, and he said that it didn't even touch the floor. And guess how deep he reached, though? He reached 80,000 feet without touching the floor.
How long was the fish?
That's how much string he bought, though. He bought mad fucking string, like boom, boom.
80,000 feet is long, bro. That's
Right.
big. Hey, yo.
As usual, I brought the dogs with me. They wouldn't go anywhere near the damn thing, and if I try to bring them there on a leash, they'll just dig their feet in. They do not want to go anywhere near the hole.
But the thing is, that makes this whole shit even weirder, bro. After the radio station aired and shit, Mel Waters didn't live there anymore.
What do you mean?
People are saying that the government, he said it himself as well, because he called again. He's saying that basically the government approached him. They offered him an X amount of money to stop talking about what he was talking about and to move, and that they were going to buy the land and they were going to occupy the land now.
And did they do that?
They did that because in 2012, some guy named Gerald Osborne, who's like a local of the town, he ended up trying to find the fucking hole because he was trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
So that he couldn't go anywhere near it, bro. Like, that shit was blocked off and it was a military
All the time. She's not lonely.
That's what she said. And you know what? What was that? Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Breaking astronomy news. NASA has just discovered an asteroid that could hit the Earth on Valentine's.
Look at the dog's head move and smile. And a smile. Yeah. These are some of the most creepy and disturbing TikToks that are out there. Trust me. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn your notification bell on, and until next time, YouTube, peace.